I was on Tim Ross's podcast and I asked him a question. What was that question? Well,
Welcome to the basement.
One of these trendy, super sensitive costumes.
I get a DM from Hector Guerrero, Tim Ross's producer, saying, yo, come be with us on February 19th. And so I said, nah, I'm good. I said, I'll be there. Then he wanted me to vlog the day for them. I was like, this is going to be sick. They're going to be in my home city, New York City. I was so excited. I had to do Tim right. But even though I was super excited about this opportunity, it came at a really unique time because honestly, I've not been doing good.
It's so embarrassing. How do people do this? I don't know. Should I be this honest? I didn't write this down. Yeah, I feel like ever since I lost my job in June of 2023, I've just been trying to figure out my life ever since. And I've just been in a really tough place. I guess the tough place is not knowing, dude, like my purpose.
Watch one of my latest videos. I talk about how excited I am. Yo, I was running to this thing blind, dude. I was so excited to be an entrepreneur. I thought I was going to kill it, but it's turning out it's actually killing me. Back in my old room, flashed a picture of what this used to look like. This is just like, it's so weird being here in my house by myself without my wife and without my baby. I'm not thriving like I thought I was going to be when I started this entrepreneurial journey. Even though I'm at home working, doing this thing remote, I'm not at home. And it's crazy, dude. I remember my son was like taking his first steps and he's just like starting to walk. It's like the cutest thing ever. And I remember just holding his hand and not even being there because I was so stressed and so just trying to figure out this business and try to figure out how to grow this thing that I'm doing. And it was literally like, my son is taking steps for the first time and I'm completely not even there. Last 6 months, I've been in this place of fear. And I've been living out of this place of fear. I've been living out of a place of scarcity, not enough, which has caused so much stress in my life. And if I don't ask him this, or at least like engage him in this question, I might, I don't know, like, I think about my son, I think about my wife, I think about the life I'm living, and I just want, I need to ask him this. I'm gonna get ready for tomorrow, and yeah, I'm super excited. So I headed to New York City to record Tim Ross and the podcast, met up with the guys at the coffee shop, started getting some shots, seeing what was working, filming, and then I realized, yeah, Tim Ross realized he was getting recorded, awkward. But here's the deal, how did I get on the pod if I was filming? Well, they were doing a live Q&A and I get a text from Hector Guerrero saying, yo, do you want to go on the pod and ask a question? And I felt like this was the perfect time to ask my question. And I had to make sure I looked good, and then, yeah, I was on the podcast. How you doing?
I'm good, bro.
Hi.
Thanks for helping in all this too.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Yeah.
So
your name?
What?
Your name?
Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony.
Quick story: 2016, 2019. DJ, producer, artist, traveled, touring, all that stuff. Super excited. And then 2019, I felt like God called me into ministry, or working in vocational ministry. And so that was a huge transition. I lived in New York at the time, Long Island, New York. 2020 happens, COVID, all that stuff. And then I felt like at the end of 2020, God told me to get married to my girlfriend at the time. And so I moved to North Carolina, in rural North Carolina, to accept a youth director position. And so your boy in a month and a half got married and we moved down and started our life. And I thought God was going to do amazing things because I was touring, I was doing all this stuff, opening up for huge guys. And now all of a sudden I'm in rural North Carolina thinking God's going to explode my ministry, whatever. And realized he was leading me into the desert, and God was molding me in that time, broke down all those idols. And I forgot your name and also what you've been saying.
Shayla or Imani?
Imani, just the community aspect. Your boy's from Long Island, New York. He's a gabagool. There's no gabagools in North Carolina. And yeah, it just felt so alone. Yeah, 2023.
I got let go from that church right as like I felt like I was finally fitting in. And then pretty much since June 2023, I've been figuring out my life, creative freelancer, trying to build a business, and just feel without purpose, lack of clarity. And I don't, the amount of pressure I have a 1-year-old now, and just how do you handle the pressure of being an entrepreneur? How do you handle the pressure of all the things that you've done, and then you just feeling like, man, what was this all for? I actually do know why God led me into the desert. But yeah, just talk on maybe a little bit how to handle or maybe how do you stop giving yourself so much pressure, self-induced pressure, on the ways, because it's just been really brutal figuring life out since that time. So
I'm so glad you said that last bit. Because what I was going to ask you is, where do you feel the pressure coming from?
It's just Italian-American household, just paying the bills, family, and like providing. So yeah, that's like the biggest pressure.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of it is, I think, self-induced, and a lot of it is from the language and just the culture and environment that I grew up in, which I loved, and there's so much good from that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so.
Okay, so I want to add, this is going to be a conversation. This is going to be more conversational. Let me ask if you could put a percentage on the amount of pressure you feel is self-induced and the amount of pressure that comes from all other things combined. What would the percentage be?
In total, like 4,798%.
From you?
Like, that's what I feel.
Okay, great. So this is not coming from your wife?
Oh, no.
Is your wife like, damn it, what are you doing?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your 1-year-old?
Honestly, it's probably a lot from that. I think when when he was born, dude, it was just like, oh my gosh, because some pastors don't get paid a lot, and so it just the financial burden
for sure.
was a lot at the time. So yeah, it's a lot from just like looking at him, seeing how cute he is, and literally. Not last night, 2 nights ago, right before I flew here, he's taking his first steps.
Absolutely.
And so he's just like at that age, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to provide for him? Just the fear of the future when it's like, you don't know when your next paycheck coming and stuff. So
we got to it. Now I'm glad you kept talking. You got to it. You're afraid.
Oh yeah. The biggest. Terrified.
Great.
I thought I was terrified moving from New York to North Carolina.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Absolutely. So God has not given you the spirit of fear. But you have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge that, okay, this is some scary stuff, right? I'm afraid. Acknowledging it exposes it, and then we can realign it. You are in a season where I promise you there are seasons like this that mark you for your whole life. You're in a season where you're walking by faith and you are being sustained supernaturally by God. Every gig you pick up, everything you do, everything is like, God, you're miraculous right here. He's building the relationship that you have with him right now. That's my mommy. So that you can trust him. Okay. I've been where you are right now. I remember getting my last check from Potter's House the 3rd week of December. I'll never forget it as long as I live. It was my last check. And I remember saying to the Lord, I guess I work for you now.
After Potter's House. You said that.
My last check from Potter's House, right? Like, I'm not getting another check.
Yeah.
I guess I work for you now.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm about to find out if you Jehovah Jireh for real.
Yeah.
Right? Not because I'm going to be at home like believing God for a check to come in tomorrow.
Yeah.
I will work. But like I'm about to become an itinerant speaker in 2011. Who knows me? When I got that last check, I said, I need 3 things to happen. If this is really you, Lord, I need 3 things to happen. Number 1, my wife can't go back to work.
I've said the same thing.
I had a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old. on January 1st of 2011.
I don't know what I would do if I had 2 kids. I'd be like,
I can identify with you, bro. So here I am. I told the Lord, if this is really you, Julie can't go back to work. If she has to go back to work, then this is probably not you. That's number one. Number two, I need a raise. I said I need a raise. This calendar year, I need to make 1 penny more than I made at PH to know this is you. I don't need to make $15,000 more. I don't need to be a millionaire about it, you know. I need to make 1 penny more than I made last year to know that you're still with me. And number three, I will not use Bishop Jake's name to get preaching engagements. If I got to ride his coattails, I might as well stay with him. But if you the one told me to leave and he gave me his blessing, then you're going to have to make my name great. So let me tell you what happened. And this is not cookie cutter. It happens for different people. I'm telling you what happens. Hopefully it just builds your faith. January comes, just so you know, January 1st of 2011, I'm now an itinerant speaker, and I only have 2 engagements for the whole year. And they're both in January. It's so funny. So I have a January 9th was the first speaking engagement. I'll never forget as long as I live. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. I preached at a church. I'd never preached that before. And it was on a Saturday night for young adults. That next morning, because I'm a church kid, I went to church. I didn't have nothing. I wasn't speaking or nothing. I heard the pastor's sermon, and after it was over, he was like, "You, young man, come here." Tells me to stand up, literally prophesies through word of knowledge, because word of knowledge and prophecy are 2 different things. Prophecy speaks of the future. Word of knowledge speaks to the present or the past.
yeah.
So they're not the same thing. So he gives a word of knowledge and a prophetic word. He literally runs down the last 5 years of my life, cryptically, but in detail. I was like, "Sir, I don't know how you're doing this, but I know God knows. But why are you giving him this stuff in public?" And then, so he prophesies the last 5. I'm sorry, he word of knowledge in the last 5, and then prophesies the next 5. Everything came to pass, just so you know. Got that check. Then I had some speaking engagements at the end of the month. When I got home, I had made 2/3 of my annual salary that I had made at Potter's House. And the Holy Spirit literally said to me, as clear as I'm talking to you, "Don't ever ask me about money again." From that day to this day, I've never asked him about money again. I'll point to it. I'll open up that checking account and I'll be like, "You see this?" I'm obedient, sir. I'm not blind. You see this in here, but that's not my business, that's yours. I trust you because I saw what you did. And if you did it then, you'll do it now. I don't know how, but if you did it then, you will do it now. I trust you. I will go to sleep with $88 in an account, knowing that by the end of the month, you are my provider. I don't know how it's coming, and that ain't my business. But I am not a lazy man. You know I have a work ethic, but I can't make nothing happen. That's your child. I took delight in making this baby, but it ain't mine.
Yeah.
That's your daughter. That's my wife. That's your daughter. I'm your son. This is all on you, fam. And I think you're in a season where he wants to make sure that is settled with you. That way you can go use your faith for something else. Because you do understand that faith and trust are 2 different things. I trust God in certain areas of my life because I have empirical data that he has come through. In the areas where I'm unfamiliar, I have to apply faith. When it comes to finances, I don't talk to him about that no more. He's proven himself too much. I don't even bring it up. So now I get to have faith for my dad. I just need that to
Yeah.
And I want to, let me keep it a buck. Y'all know I'm big on receipts and being congruent. I'm not telling you this right now. The reason why I'm so passionate about saying this right now, because I'm here right now. I'm not in the situation where I'm sitting on stacks. I'm in a situation where I am providing, this is my first time saying this publicly, so, but I feel at peace to do so. My dad's on hospice. We paying for that. I'm grateful I had the money to do it. But it ain't coming from no surplus. It's coming from what's there. Which means I gotta believe him for, if you telling me to do this, sir, you are gonna have to give me a raise. But that's his business. I don't talk to him about that no more. Just to be in a position where I can do this for my daddy. That man raised me.
Yeah.
He provided for me because God provided for him. And now I'm in a situation where I get to return the favor. Take it all. Who gonna bring it back? He is. How? I don't know. This was not a ticketed event. I didn't come in here and ask all of y'all for $100 to cover venue cost and hopefully I can break even and come back home with, nah. He provides.
Did you say 88 before?
$88.
That's crazy. Cause that, I don't know when exactly, but a few weeks ago, that was like the lowest I've ever saw in my bank account. And I was like,
88 specifically?
Yeah. I forgot the cents, but yeah.
I can't make that up.
So
Could have said 92. I could have said 7. But he wants to remind you he saw the same thing you did. That's what that was. That number comes out of my mouth for him to remind you, I saw what you saw.
yeah.
And I'm not going to leave you like that. So take it all in, because bro, you're going to be financially stable for the rest of your life. But you needed this season so that you would know that your money is not God. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it was a special moment. Ever since being there at the podcast, I feel like this weight and the pressure I was putting on myself, that I put a lot of pressure on myself, but also just the pressure has been lifted off. And it was much needed for me. So yep. Thank you, Jesus.